Guys, we are less than a week away from the start of the NFL season, meaning you are running out of time to join our NFL Survivor contest. $10 entry fee. You can enter up to 5 times. Winner's gonna take home nearly $3 grand. $10 to potentially win $3 grand. Sounds pretty damn good to me. Check out the link in the pinned comment. Join the Survivor pool. If you don't know what Survivor pools are, you essentially pick one team to win every single week. If you win, you survive, you move on. If you lose, unfortunately, you're out. But the catch is you can only pick one team once per season. So if you pick a team in week 1 and you advance, you can't pick that team for the rest of the season. Super, super fun. I'm in there, as well as some of your other favorite content creators right here on YouTube. They're going to be in the exact same pool as well. So go check it out. Again, it's a $10 entry fee. Let's fill this pool up. Let's have some fun during the NFL season. Let's go. That link is in the pinned comment.
All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Friday. Happy Friday to everyone out there. August 30th, we have a 16-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like in the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me, all of the plays that I'm rolling with myself will be in the pinned comment. We have a good day 2 days ago, and we give it all right back. A 1-2 night. The Rangers-White Sox being the best odds that we got, that cashes with ease. But the Diamondbacks team total, the Garden Snakes came out, and then the Red Sox nearly got no hit by Bowden Francis at first, and they end up scoring 0 runs. So those two team total overs, big ol' L on your boy's forehead here. But I want to bounce back today, first and foremost, and secondarily, Mr. Smob coming through with his 3rd straight ride of the day win. Let's abuse the damn soundboard today. He had the Dodgers and Orioles over 8.5. It finished at, I believe, 9, but nonetheless, it is a cash. Mr. Smob has now cashed 3 in a row. Let's get a W Smob in the comments because we're loving what we're doing here. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to do is use hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Then I jump on board with one person's pick and give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, like Smob has done for 3 straight days now, right? We continue to ride with your picks until the wheels fall off. If you lose, you gotta face the womp womp. We talk about it in the next video. But yeah, W Smob in the comments, guys. Get those hashtag ride of the days in there as well, because I'm seeing a lot of winners in the comments, which is great, because when I go on a stretch, like say we lose again today, I don't want to, but say we do, that's 2 losing days in a row. I know there's some sharp money in winners in the comments as well. That's why we do the ride of the day, not just for the shout out, but so other people can see what you're rolling with, because it just helps everyone out. But again, shout out to Smob for the 3rd straight ride of the day cash. But let's go ahead and jump into today's slate. There's some games I love, some games I don't. We'll talk about it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Let's get rocking here. We got game 1 of a doubleheader. Cincinnati taking on Milwaukee here. Nick Martinez on the mound going up against Colin Rea. I believe it's Colin Rea. I've seen him listed as the projected starter here for Milwaukee. Now, like I said, this is a doubleheader. Me, like a lot of people, do not like doubleheaders. If we do play them, we play the first game. What I would do in this spot is potentially consider looking at an under. Nick Martinez is coming off of 2 bad starts, but prior to that, he was pitching very well. And then you have Colin Rea, who also has been pitching, I guess you could say, fairly well, right? He is on the road. That's worth taking into account, but he's been going really good start, bad start, really good start, like 0 earned runs, bad start, and he's coming off of a game against Oakland in which he allowed, I think, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, and so maybe he's due now for a good start, you know what I mean? If that trend continues, I do think that Cincinnati, kind of scoring a bunch of runs yesterday. Milwaukee, did they play yesterday? Yeah, against San Francisco, scoring 6 runs. Like, both these teams are due for now a new series and kind of a lull. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but again, it's a doubleheader. I don't think we're necessarily going to touch it. If I had to go money line in this spot, this would probably be where I look at the strategy of taking, if Cincinnati were to be dogs each time, taking them, but it looks like they're favored in the second game. So really don't have much of a money line play here. I could see an argument being made for both teams. I guess I would just trust the more consistent team, Milwaukee, but again, doubleheader doesn't interest me all that much, and if it does interest you, I definitely think long and hard about the fact that it is a doubleheader. That doesn't mean you can't find any value or find any plays, but it's just where I'm at. All right, next up, we're looking at Detroit taking on the Red Sox. Like I said, the Red Sox let us down yesterday. We don't have a true confirmed starter yet for Detroit. I've seen Tariq Skubal's name out there. I've seen Casey Mize' name out there. massive difference. I would guess it's Mize, just given the fact that the Tigers at home here are plus 114, plus 118. So we're going to roll with that for now. In this spot, you have Tanner Houck on the mound for the Red Sox, which should be, in theory, a good thing. But even Tanner Houck has been struggling as of late. That being said, I don't know why I'm just a glutton for punishment or something, because I want to go right back to the Red Sox team total over. Though they scored 0 runs yesterday, I still think against a righty, especially a righty like Casey Mize, if we can get this at 3.5, which I don't think we are, only one I see available right now is 4.5. We're recording this pretty early. We're on the move today. So hopefully we can get a 3.5 for decent odds. But if it's not 3.5, I'm not going 4.5. But that's the way that I would look at this one. I'd consider Red Sox on the money line. But this team has just been struggling, right? 6 of their last 10 games they've lost, and you have the Tigers here who are coming off of a loss yesterday, sure, but prior to that had won 6 straight games and won 7 of their last 9 prior to. So this Tigers team's looking good. I know all the people in the comments are gonna be like, you keep fading and hating on Detroit. This is a spot in which if it was Scooble, I'd like it. Casey Mize, I'm not gonna trust all that much. I'm gonna lean towards Red Sox, and maybe I at least have the defense that it could be biased because I'm a Red Sox fan in this one, to everyone that says that I hate Detroit in the comments, which I don't. Like, Detroit has made Tariq Skubal in particular, and Jack Flaherty earlier in the year, had made us so much money with Detroit for one series last series against the Angels. I'm like, taking the Angels, and everyone's like, why are you hating on Detroit? It's fair because I did fade them 3 straight games, but I want to make it clear, I don't hate Detroit, but I am leaning against them again today, so maybe some of you guys in the comments have a point. In terms of a total, I'm going to have to lean towards the over. I like the Red Sox to score runs against a righty today, right? Again, if it's Mize. And the Tigers offense, I know they scored 0 runs yesterday too, but I don't think either of these teams score 0 runs again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they both get shut out. That would not work in the game of baseball. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards the over here, 8.5. Give me a 5-4 game at minimum. Let the Tigers bats stay somewhat hot, and let the Red Sox bats kind of come back to life. They're going up against a righty in which they should be able to hit. All right, next up, we have Philadelphia taking on Atlanta. This is one where I was kicking myself because I was so close to betting Atlanta for plus money yesterday, right? And then they get off to an early lead, and I'm like, oh my God, you're an idiot. Luckily, no, not luckily if you're on the Atlanta side, so I apologize there, but luckily for me, because I was kicking myself, the Phillies come back and win. They score all 5 of their runs 6th inning after. So Philly gets the win yesterday. Today, we have Ranger Suarez on the mound going up against Ronaldo Lopez. So 2 good pitchers here. That said, we saw 2, decent pitchers yesterday, right? And we still saw the game get to 9. I would say overall, I think that Ranger Suarez may be in a better spot overall here. He's at home. This Atlanta lineup is heating up against lefties. I mentioned it yesterday, so take that if you are on the Atlanta side and run with it. That's going to be your biggest reason to bet them. But for me, the Phillies show that they have the gusto yesterday. You're getting them at minus 135. I like the spot. Ronaldo Lopez, a little bit more struggle on the road this season than at home. He also struggles against lefties. That means you're going to have Schwarber, Harper, Stott in the lineup as well, Marsh. Like, this is a Phillies team that definitely has some lefties that are capable. So I like the spot here for the Phillies. I don't mind someone betting Atlanta, though. Like I said, like, if you want to say, well, the Atlanta's been hitting lefties all, starting to hit lefties really well. Ranger Suarez, has had his ups and downs, I guess you could say. He's not as good as he was at the beginning of the year, but he's coming off of a very good start that maybe gets him back on track. I forget who they played, but he pitched, 5 innings, 1 earned run type baseball. So, I'm putting my faith in Ranger Suarez. I also don't necessarily hate the idea, like I mention, of either one of these teams kind of having a good day. So it's at 8 right now. They hit the over yesterday. It's probably where I go again today. But overall, I do trust these pitchers, so I don't think it soars over. But give me the Phillies on the money line. Funnily enough, I think my main play in this one may end up being a player prop. We're looking at Sean Murphy here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I like the odds for minus 125 and minus 130. It's also available on Prize Picks and Underdog, but he's hit the under here in 8 straight games. On the season, he's hit it in 68% of games. If we want to look at his away games, 62%, and then on the road against lefties, 63%, and then lefties overall, 65%. So no matter how you kind of splice this up, it looks pretty favorable to lean towards the under, right? And then we go and look at it even more. Okay, 3 plate appearances against Ranger Suarez. He's done nothing. He struck out once, 33% K rate. But what I'm really focusing on is the fact that dude's already has a bad batting average, right? 216 batting average on the season. But versus a lefty, it drops to sub 200, 176. His WRC plus drops to 56.7. And Ranger Suarez actually decent against right-handed batters. 220 average against. The WOBA drops to 262. The sinker, the cutter, and the fastball are all pitches that Murphy hits well. So there's kind of the drawback. But all of everything that I said beforehand, I think is a better look here in this spot when we're able to kind of look at it like that. So I like the fact here. And this is also, you can look at the insights on Outlier, which is really, really cool. By the way, guys, Outlier, link in the pinned comment, 7 days free of this tool. They also have a premium version where you have EV, boosts, arbitrage, and middling. That's a little bit more expensive, but this is a 7-day free trial. Everything you're seeing with the player prop screen. You can also look at game picks and that type of thing. And after that 7-day free trial, it's $19.99 per month. So if you cash a couple plays with this, it's going to pay for itself. But I like this little insights tab. Sean Murphy has failed to exceed 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs in 8 straight games. 0.6 hits, runs, and RBIs per game over that time, last 8. So that's a really good thing to look at. We kind of identified ourselves there, but they make it pretty easy. But anyways, I think that we're seeing more on our side than just the pitch mix here. So I'm hoping that we have a little bit of luck on our side here too, because this seems like it's a foolproof one, but unfortunately, you know how some things have been working for us lately. We were hot in July, hot in August, but the last week or so have been kind of, shaky. Guy's probably going to home run his first at bat. But Sean Murphy, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, is a player prop we like. And definitely go check out Outlier. We've been working with them for years now. It's my favorite player prop research tool out there, bar none. Go check it out. That link is in the pinned comment. 7 days free. All right, Cincinnati-Milwaukee game 2. We don't even know who's pitching yet in this one, so I'm going to skip it for now, but keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we do come up with anything for this game or if we have anything. I'm telling you now, unless something just jumps out and bites me, fishing without a fishing rod and it's lands in your lap, we're not going to be playing anything in this one. So, not unfortunately, because we do have 15 other games to look at, but unfortunately, I don't have much in this game. But yeah, it is what it is. We don't even know the pitchers yet. All right, Washington taking on the Cubs here on the mound for Washington. Looks like it's going to be Jake Irvin. We don't have a listed or a confirmed starter or even a projected starter, I guess we could say, for the Cubs yet. But I've seen Shota's name out there, so potentially Shota Imanaga. It's tough because when you look at Detroit or Chicago, the pitchers that are out there are going to be absolutely crucial for us breaking down the game, right? But let's act like it's Shota for now, and then as we go through it, if it gets announced throughout the day, then no duh, we could switch it up or something like that. But right now, the odds are looking pretty much like it's Shota because the Cubs are minus 162 on the road here after playing in Pittsburgh, heading to Washington. But Washington took 2 of 3 against the Yankees, and not just any 2 of 3, they took the last 2, so they may have some momentum here. Now you have Jake Irvin on the mound, who's obviously one of their better pitchers. He's been pretty paralleled on the road and at home, really good against right-handed hitters, which doesn't, do you all that much. You have Happ, Bush, Bellinger, and there's another lefty in that they're good hitters, right? Realistically, Suzuki and Suzuki is the first name that jumps to mind without knowing the full lineup for the Cubs is a righty. So I do think that the fact that he's good against righties isn't all that great here. And the fact that the Cubs lineup is actually kind of turning into one of the better ones in the last 30 days for baseball here. Overall, they're 4th average, 1st in WRC+, 2nd in OPS, ISO, and slugging, right? But against righties last 30 days, it stays fairly similar. 10th in average, 6th in WRC+, 4th in ISO, 4th in slugging, 3rd in ISO, 4th in OPS. So this should still be a good lineup. You're going to get tons of fastballs, 60% fastballs from Jake Irvin. No better team in the league right now in terms of runs above average last 30 days per 100 fastballs seen, the Cubs. So yeah, with Shota on the mound, a better bullpen, and what I deem the better offense here, I'm going to lean towards the Cubs. The Cubs looked good against Pittsburgh. They scored 18, 9, and 14 runs. I hope that momentum stays up because that's a hell of a lot of runs. Like I said, they kind of turned into a powerhouse here. Even prior to those 3 games, I think it was either 3 or 4 games before, they scored 10 and 14 in 2 of them. So if this Cubs team stays hot, it's almost like when the Brewers got hot or the Yankees got hot. Some of these teams just put up a bunch of runs and it's tough to fade them, you know what I mean? So give me the Cubs with Shota on the mound and a good bullpen here in this spot. Plus 140 just isn't enough for me to get to the Nationals side of things. In terms of a total, kind of already tipped my hand there. If the Cubs are going to score a bunch of runs, I think it's silly to take the under. It doesn't mean that I'm all over the over, but it kind of just dispels and gets rid of my thought or wanting to dig for an under, if that makes sense. All right, next game we're looking at, we have Tampa Bay taking on San Diego here. Martin Perez listed on the mound. I love saying that name. On the mound for San Diego. I don't think it's confirmed yet. Same thing with Taj Bradley on the mound for Tampa Bay. Taj Bradley has kind of struggled. Now, he's way better at home. I think he only has like one home start in his last 4 or 5, something like that. He is way better at home than he is on the road, like 2 different pitchers type of thing. And Martin Perez finally had kind of a shaky start, and I don't mean finally, but didn't really have the best of start in his last start. He had been pitching really well for San Diego and kind of went out there and actually, I guess he was, what did he allow, 2 runs through 6 innings, something like that. I honestly don't have that in my notes or the top of my head. So Martin Perez has looked good for San Diego. That's the bigger point that I'm throwing out there, but kind of came back down to earth either in his most recent start or his second most recent start, whenever they played the Twins, right? So you have 2 serviceable pitchers here in this spot, but the total would come and say that, right? You're sitting at 47.5 here. Looks like 49% of the money is on the over, 40s on the, like, this is a pretty split total in terms of the money, and it's sitting at 7.5. My initial thoughts are to lean towards a nerfy. Let Taj Bradley go out there and perform at home. Let Martin Perez go out there and keep doing what he's doing for San Diego. So nerfy was kind of my initial thoughts because I don't like many runs scored in this game, but 7.5, I always get a little intimidated by that number, right? So I lean towards a nerfy first and foremost. When it comes to a money line play here in this one, and we're kind of juiced out at this point, I don't mind looking at San Diego's team total, because the money line, you do have San Diego for plus money yet again, which I don't mind there. So I feel like that was super confusing. Need some more coffee. All right, nerfy I like because of the 2 pitchers. San Diego's team total, I wanted to look at over 3.5, but it's kind of juice, so we'll keep an eye on that price. There's the juice comment. And then on the money line, like, I think you're getting the better powerhouse offense here for plus money, so that's going to be the lean in terms of the money line. But I really don't love, like, San Diego to score a crazy amount of runs today. I do think that they can go out there and hit Taj Bradley fairly well. He's just going to throw a lot of fastballs. San Diego hits that well. He throws a lot of cutters. San Diego hits that well. He's going to throw a lot of splitters. San Diego hits that well, you know. So though he performs well at home, to give me a plus money next to the Padres here, that's probably going to be the lean. So it's not really that I'm fading Taj or anything like that. I just think that San Diego, it's almost like the odds could be flipped here, and I might even still like San Diego. So if you're going to give me plus money in a spot in which I'd probably pay minus 110, minus 120, then give me San Diego. But if I were to rank it, nerfy, I guess Padres money line, and then Padres team total over, but I don't want it at 4.5. I think that they can score 4 runs and win this game today. I don't think a lot of runs come in. All right, I know that one was a little bit confusing, but you know what? Let's transition into something that is not confusing whatsoever, and that is the fact that Sleeper is giving us a George Kirby 0.5 strikeout line today. Sleeper, one of my favorite player prop apps out there. I only use a couple of them, guys, and Sleeper distinguishes themselves because they have more offerings and more lines. They even have alternate lines. Not a lot of these apps do that, and they just have every single pick out there like sportsbooks do. In fact, each and every pick that you throw into your slip has its own unique multiplier, which I find very cool. They don't just follow a fixed payout structure, and you get this George Kirby square today, which is an absolute no-brainer, right? And they've been dropping some discounts on Friday as of late. They do a lot more discounts than damn near anyone else in the game, so check out Sleeper. The link in the pinned comment is going to auto-apply our code, which gets you this Kirby square, gets you the deal to all of the discounts, and you're going to get your first deposit matched up to $100. So go check out Sleeper, guys. Again, it is my favorite. In fact, it just kind of mirrors sports books more. So if you're in a state where they don't even have sports books, regulated yet and that type of thing, Sleeper's probably your go-to. So go ahead and check it out. If it's available in your state and you're not on Sleeper, you're sleeping. Wake up, go check it out. That link is in the pinned comment. 100% of your first deposit matched. You get all the discounts they drop, which are multiple throughout the week. I think they have a Joe Burrow free square out there right now, too, for the NFL season. And you get this George Kirby square. Go ahead and check it out, guys. I love Sleeper. I've been using it for years now. And I stick to the apps that I like, right? Sleeper has been there from the beginning. So go ahead and check it out. That link is in the pinned comment. I know you guys will like it if you try it out. But let's get back into these games here. All right, Yankees taking on St. Louis. I think this is actually a really interesting one, and there is an argument that could be made for both teams here, okay? Eric Fedde on the mound has been pitching really well since being a St. Louis Cardinal. I think he has a at least a 2.6 ERA in his last 5. I want to say is how many starts he have with the Cardinals? I don't know off the top of my head, but 2.6 ERA in his last 5 here. Going up against Marcus Stroman, who has shown signs of like brilliance, right? And then he shows signs of like, is that dude, should he be a fast food worker? It's crazy because obviously he has a very good career, right? But just really hasn't been consistent for the Yankees. So I came into this really trying to get to the St. Louis side of things. And I know a lot of people are going to be on St. Louis today because the Yankees stink and we're putting them on the ban list and we're fading them, right? I'm giving the Yankees one more shot here. I like the Yankees on the money line. Now, our graphic says minus 170. You can get right now on MGM the Yankees minus 162. Maybe that's somewhat of a move. I don't even mind them on the first 5 run line. Their offense, in my opinion, is still very good, even though they struggled in that last series. I'm giving them one last chance. This is the type of spot where if the Yankees, if we make it a final play, which I am considering, right? Yankees first 5 run line, Yankees team total over, some way, shape, or form of the Yankees. If we make it a final play and they don't come through, I'm willing to consider them on a 5-day DNB list, which if you don't know what that is, it's the do not bet list that we have, and we kind of put them on like a little timeout, right? But I like the idea that everyone is down on the Yankees right now because they're still one of, I don't care if they had a bad series or a bad couple, it's like they're still one of the best offenses in the league, and they have the best player in baseball on their team in Judge. So, yeah, I think I'm on the Yankees some way, shape, or form today. I want to make the odds work. I want to make the lines work, but keep an eye on the pinned comment. There definitely could be something here. In terms of a total, I think I'm going to lean towards the over. I hope the Yankees, do score some runs. Now, Eric Fetty has some bad numbers against the Yankees in his career here against the current roster, not the team, 53 plate appearance, only a 13% K rate, a 9.4% walk rate, an average against of 383. Now, expected batting average against drops a little bit to 366, still no bueno. An expected slugging of 736 and an expected WOBA of 486. Now, Stroman's numbers are better than that, not much better against the current guys in the Cardinals, but overall, I think the Yankees bats are a little bit more sound. So, you know what? I'll sound the psycho alert alarm just because I know how many people are pissed at the Yankees, but you know what? I think I'm going to be rolling with something Yankees related today. It just is what it is. And then a player prop I like, though it is pretty juiced, it's still sitting at a place in which I'm comfortable taking it if we can get it on Caesars, which, the cool thing about this, you can say continue in browser right from Outlier, and it's going to place it in your bet slip, which makes it super, super easy to make plays, right? You don't have to go digging for it. But I like Jazz Chisholm Jr. over 0.5 bases. You want better odds? I don't mind over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. You want some plus money. We might split a unit there, but overall, this is a guy that's seen Eric Fetty a decent amount. 14 plate appearances against. He has an average of 333, an on base percentage of 426, slugging 833, 14 plate appearances, 4 hits, 10 bases, 2 extra base hits, right? Do I love the fact that his average is 256 against righties? Not necessarily, but you could see it's not like Fetty's superb against left-handed batters, right? He's going to throw a cutter. Chisholm likes to hit that. The sinker, he likes to hit that. The slider, he struggles against, but he's only throwing that 20% of the time. So even if we look at the heat map, right, the cutter kind of up in the zone, you can see Chisholm hits that fairly well. The sinker down and outside or outside of the zone, he hits that well. I like Chisholm to get on base today. So whether you like his 0.5 bases or his plus money hits, runs, and RBIs, definitely something that I'm identifying as a potential play today. So yeah, for whatever reason, I'm liking a decent amount in this game today. Again, shout out to Outlier. If you didn't hear me earlier, link in the pinned comment, 7 days free there, one of my favorite partners we work with. But yeah, Chisholm Jr. over 0.5 bases, and then some Yankees play some way, shape, or form. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. All right, guys, if you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 22. You made it 22 minutes into the video, and I appreciate the hell out of you guys. FYI, we are traveling this weekend for another wedding, so the next couple videos will be road videos, but you know what, I told you guys a long time ago, we have a bunch of weddings coming up. Everyone's like, you're on vacation. Yes, I like to take the weekends away and enjoy myself, but these are all weddings. These are like requirements, so I just wanted to let you guys know, and I say that at the same time I'm saying comment 22, because I know the real ones and the loyal ones are still watching at this time, commenting 2022, so 22, not 2022, 22, so figured I'd tell you guys, FYI, you got Vacation Ev, Travel Ev, whatever all the nicknames you guys are throwing out there. I heard Hotel Ev the other day, and then someone comments Motel Ev, so I like that. Comment Motel Ev if you guys are watching right now. That's a great nickname. But let's move on to this game. We got Cleveland taking on Pittsburgh. Some of these picks I've been throwing out lately are like Motel Ev, more like tent on the side of the road Ev. But we got Ben Lively on the mound taking on Bailey Faulkner here. Neither one of these offenses I'm all that thrilled with. You have Pittsburgh, though, looking pretty good. Like, I talked about how Chicago in their last series, it was against Pittsburgh, was scoring a bunch of runs. Like Pittsburgh, they probably sweep against most teams with the amount of runs that they scored. Now I know it's a high-scoring series, high-scoring games. It promotes more runs, right? But they scored 8, 5, and 10 in their last 3 games and got swept by Chicago. So they definitely were scoring a bunch of runs. Cleveland coming off of a high-scoring game 2 days ago, right? They scored 7 runs in a Kansas City victory. But prior to that, their offense was kind of shaky here. I'm not a big Bailey Falter guy, and you know I've been up and down on Ben Lively. I think he's serviceable. I think the main look here is just to say go and score a bunch of runs, boys. Even though your offenses kind of have been shaky, I love that Pittsburgh scored a bunch of runs in that last series. I love that Cleveland did score a lot against Kansas City. Go out there and score a bunch of runs. I don't know if I get to the window and make this a final play just because I started this whole breakdown being like their offenses are kind of inconsistent, but they've been scoring, right? And it's a big but, which I like. So I do think that this is an overplay for me. If I had to put some money on a money line, I'd go Pittsburgh just because you're getting really good plus money. Plus 150, in which I think that they're more of like a plus 110 team today. So yeah, why not just take a huge swing for the fences if we're going to roll with that? Neither one of these pitchers has much experience against the bats, but that means that the bats don't have much experience against these pitchers, right? So I'll take Pittsburgh on the money line. But overall, this is a tricky one, guys, because it's almost like betting on consistency, but they've been inconsistent, if that makes sense, right? I'm betting on a lot of runs lately, but you look the macro versus the micro, they have not been scoring that many runs. Talk about using buzzwords, right? Macro and micro. But give me the over as well as Pittsburgh. I could see a path to Pittsburgh actually being a final play, but to me it seems a little bit more in the forced territory if we were to do that. All right, we got Texas taking on Oakland here. John Gray listed on the mound here for Texas, going up against J.P. Sears. Both of these guys, similar boats, and honestly, Oakland's offense has been a little bit better than Texas's as of late. So Texas coming off of a sweep of a series, but they played the White Sox, and they only scored a combined 9 runs against the White Sox, right? The White Sox scored a combined 5 runs, so it's not like Texas even went off and pitched and played really well. Oakland scored 5, 9, and 9 against Cincinnati and took 2 of those 3 games. So I do think that Oakland's offense is, obviously a little bit hotter right now. Both these pitchers have some decent experience against the bats on the other side. John Gray, 43 plate appearances against. He has some good numbers, an average against of 105, an expected batting average against of 208, an expected WOBA of 301, a true WOBA of 190. J.P. Sears, his numbers mediocre, 133 plate appearances against, 275 average against, but an expected batting average of 253, an expected WOBA of 333. So neither one terrible. John Gray's in fact very good, but he has a third of the sample size of J.P. Sears, right? To me, you have a better athletics offense going on right now. I think John Gray's a little bit better of a pitcher, but it's tough to say that with the way that he just came out of his last start, which was, I think, after a month being off, right? Against Cleveland, 2 innings, 7 hits, 2 walks, 7 earned runs, so one strikeout. So it's tough to back him. I think I am going to lean towards Texas, though, in this spot. He has good numbers against them, and though they just swept a bad team, they swept a team nonetheless. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They're getting the job done. Give me Texas, but I'm admitting, and I know that they have the worst offense as of right now, right? Also, they don't have the best bullpen, so maybe this is a Texas first 5 play. But one thing I really wanted to note was the fact that you have John Gray, who pitches a fastball and slider predominantly. Oakland doesn't hit either one of those pitches all that tremendously, so could be a decent spot. But at the end of the day, you're still paying nearly minus 150 for a Texas team that could be shaky. So that's the type of thing that could keep us off pulling the trigger here. And if Texas wins, I believe this game is going under 8.5. If this game goes over, I would assume it's an Oakland spot. So those two kind of correlate to me. Over in Oakland and under in Texas. All right, White Sox taking on the Mets. Pretty easy one here, I guess. Cannon on the mound going up against Meatball McGill, but the Mets offense should be able to go out there and score. The Mets are scoring runs when they need to. Even yesterday, they won, 3-2, but they really late in the game, and they scored when they need to. They're hitting big hits when they need to. Give me the Mets here, but this would be some sort of a money line parlay throw-in. And I like the Mets team total over. I would lean full game over, but you're asking the White Sox to contribute to that, and I don't think that that's very intelligent based on how many runs they usually score per game. So I'll lean over, but it's really a Mets team total over. But all of this is pretty juiced, so I doubt it makes its way into being a final play today. In fact, the White Sox, it's tough. Unless you're looking at like a first 5 under and under with them included, like I did with the Rangers last game, it is really tough to kind of even involve any game that they're in, money line wise, because the odds are going to be terrible. All right, Minnesota taking on Toronto. We have Kevin Gausman going up against Pablo Lopez. I think that this is like, last year this would have been an unbelievable matchup. Now I still like the matchup. Do not get me wrong. But obviously both these guys have had their ups and downs. Some ups and downs that they didn't even have, or some downs I should say, they didn't have last year. But Pablo Lopez, I have not gotten off that train, even though a lot of people did, kind of middle of the year, early in the year, that type of thing. He now has 2 straight shutout games against Texas and St. Louis. So it's not like, whoa, he shut those 2 teams out, right? Gausman's also not looking all that terrible here. I like this spot a lot for both pitchers, so I think that this is another spot in which my mind immediately jumps to a nerfy. Let these 2 guys go out there and play really well for, 6 outs. But when it comes down to a money line play, I think Pablo Lopez is a little bit more juice than Gausman. He's on a little bit more of a roll. And you throw in the fact that the Minnesota Twins just do have a better, lineup in terms of being able to produce some runs. They didn't have a great game against Atlanta 2 days ago. They scored 1 run, but prior to that, they scored 6 in both games and lost. So this team is scoring a bunch of runs. They have to be somewhat fired up, right? Now, Toronto takes just 1 of that Red Sox, or 2 of they split the series. The game 1, they scored 7 runs, and then they went 3-0-2. So it's not like they were, scoring a bunch of runs here. Even outside of that, they hadn't been scoring too many runs prior to, a little bit more than 2 runs per game. But I like Minnesota's bats in this spot. I like Pablo Lopez. The only way that we probably have odds that are worth it are looking at like a Minnesota first 5 here, but now you're fading Gausman, which gets a little interesting. 123 plate appearances against this Twins roster, expected batting average against of 228, an expected WOB of 318, but it's still really good for Lopez. 30 plate appearances against, smaller sample size, 241 batting average against, 241 expected batting average against, real batting average against of 115, which isn't realistic, and an expected WOB of 317. So I do think that it could be tough to get to Gausman today. That's why I like the nerfy as my main play. But overall, I like Minnesota. I think Lopez is a little bit more of a heater, and he has better bats behind him, and a better bullpen for sure. So I like Minnesota, but the nerfy may end up being the only play that we roll with. I'd slightly lean towards the under, or at least maybe Toronto team total under as well. That way the Minnesota Twins can kind of get as many runs as they want, as long as they kind of suppress Toronto. That might be a move too. All right, Houston taking on Kansas City. I wish we bet this one yesterday, but anyways, good game. Finished over, right? 6-3 game. Today we have Seth Lugo on the bump, who has had his struggles as of late. For being a really good pitcher, definitely has had his struggles, going up against Framber Valdez, who has looked pretty solid. I mean, he has his worst start in his last 4 against Baltimore, but still only 3 earned runs through 5 2/3. 2 flat ERA though over his last 5 games, so you do like to see that. Both these pitchers are good. Kansas City against lefties, pretty damn good, but Houston has the better bullpen. Houston has, what I would say is a slight starting advantage today, and he's going to throw a ton of sinkers, which is actually, surprisingly enough, one of the tougher pitches for Kansas City to hit. Now, funnily enough, I say, because they're really good at everything other than the knuckle curve, which isn't a common pitch anyways, but they're 12th in the league in terms of runs above average per 100 sinkers thrown. So it's like, even though it's one of their worst pitches, it's still pretty decent. They're the top half of the league. But to me, in this spot, I think you have to trust what these Astros are doing offensively, and a slight starting pitcher advantage, and then a definite bullpen advantage. So though it's super juiced, I came into this wanting to get to Kansas City, right? But Astros at home is going to be the play. Total sitting at 8. Yesterday we saw 9 runs. I could see some runs being scored again in this one. I'd rather Houston on the money line than the over, than the over, but I would lean towards the over. I don't think that this is like a 4-3 game. It could be, but I think 5-4 is more likely, which would be an over. But I like Houston as much as I do anything in this game. And then in terms of player props, you can just say a couple right here. I don't mind the idea of Yordan Alvarez over in his bases for decent odds, right? I think you're looking at plus money there. And then Michael Massey, I think, is a decent matchup here against Valdez, who's going to throw a lot of sinkers. Massey hits the sinker and cutter, his curve, which is his second pitch, really, really, really well. So him for over 0.5 bases could also be a play there. In fact, I can just show you really quickly. 8 of his last 10 he's hit, and this is what I'm talking about. Sinker, he hits really well. Curveball, his WOBA goes up as well. So decent spot here, and against lefty batters, Valdez's batting average jumps to 267. The only issue is that Massey hits lefties worse than he does righties, but his batting average with balls in play, his WRC plus, still looking at some things that go up, marginally, right? So I like his over in bases as well. All right, Colorado taking on Baltimore, similar to how we talked about the White Sox and the Mets series. I think that this is kind of one that we can speed through. I like Baltimore. Gomber's on the mound for Colorado. That dude is one pitch away from working at Burger King and not even like a manager job. Like I'm talking one of those guys that sweeps the floor or something. Going up against Albert Suarez, who I don't have all that much faith in, but it is a Baltimore offense against a Colorado offense. The one thing, and if you are crazy enough to take Colorado today, and I say crazy because it's only plus 130. Like if I were to even be thinking about Colorado, it'd have to be like plus 150 and beyond. But Baltimore does not hit lefties all that tremendously. In fact, their offense has kind of been a little dormant, but they're still the better team, and there's not enough reason for me to get to Colorado today. So if you are on them, again, I would think about that price, but the saving grace is kind of that Baltimore offense isn't what it has been, right? But Gomber has some bad numbers against his current roster in the past as well. I'll lean towards Baltimore team total over, and I guess Baltimore on the money line. I don't think Gomber or the Rockies have a great day today, so that's why I'm kind of focusing on Baltimore. All right, Angels taking on Seattle. Seattle, massive favorites in this one, and I didn't like it at first. In fact, I started to try and get to the Angels because of that price tag. But overall, like, this is a team that has won 3 of their last 4 games in Seattle. Their starting pitching is obviously always going to be good. And you have George Kirby, who 2 straight starts, combined for 13 innings in the last 2 starts, 2 earned runs, and 12 strikeouts against this Angels team. So he has some good numbers against them. 55 plate appearances against 2. He's got a 27.3 K rate, a 226 average against, a WOBA of 231. So George Kirby, in theory, should be able to go out there and pitch very well. I'll lean towards the first 5 under and the under for the Angels. Now, Fulmer is listed as the starter. I've also seen Samuel Adlaheri. Don't think I'm saying that correctly, but I'm pronouncing it to my best ability. He might be an opener. So the pitching is going to come into play here. I'm imagining that it's Adlaheri because of the odds, right? Like super underdogs we see are the Angels. And even if Fulmer was on the mound, like I don't think that he'd necessarily be favored or anything like that, but I think that he'd be a little bit more respected in terms of what we have odds-wise. So it's probably that second name I mentioned. But overall, it doesn't change my mind. It changes the fact that we might not roll with it because of the fact that, it's super juiced, but I still think this is a Seattle day. I think it's a game for them. So that's why I was like, maybe we can get there some way, shape, or form by looking at the team total under for the Angels, something like that, which I'd also lean towards full game under, but who knows about this pitcher on the other side. Seattle's not the best offense, but what if they just go off, All right. The Diamondbacks, who let us down yesterday, the Garden Snakes coming in, taking on Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers. Zach Gallen on the mound for the Diamondbacks. In theory, all things considered, team name, pitcher name, all that should be a pretty damn good series here and game overall, right? You have the Diamondbacks, who let us down yesterday, lost 2 of 3 against the Mets, but they have won 7 of their last 10, and the Angels took 2 of 3 against Baltimore, and they've won 8 of their last 10. So definitely looking good. I think you're getting a really good price for the Dodgers here. My one concern is that these 2 teams play each other really tough. And if anyone has the Dodgers number in the last, 3, maybe say 2 years, right? Since the Diamondbacks got really good. The Diamondbacks, they've won 6 of the last 10 games. That's only dating back to last year against this. So the Diamondbacks definitely have their number, but I like Kershaw in this spot. He's a lefty. He has good numbers against the Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen as well, so don't get me wrong. I think that he also is very good, but the bats on both sides should be, I don't want to say better, but should be better. So I'm going to lean Dodgers because I think that they have the better offense. Even though if you look at the numbers and whatnot, like this Dodgers team, their offense is kind of struggling over the last 30 days, but they must be getting up for this one. And I'd be concerned about a guy that throws a ton of fastballs. Zach Gallen throws a ton of fastballs, but he also has like 6 pitches in his pitch mix. So every other pitch, the Dodgers hit very well. So I'm going to lean towards the Dodgers, hoping that they can get out there and score. I want to lean towards the under. I think it's silly based on these offenses, but I trust these pitchers too. So I'm kind of caught in between here. I could flip a coin and say over or under, right? But give me the Dodgers on the money line. And then if I had a gun to my head, I guess I would say the over. Let's go out there and score some runs, boys, type of thing. So yeah, I like the spot for the Dodgers. You're not going to get them at minus 115 often. That's why we liked their team total over and stuff against Baltimore a few times, because when you're going up against good pitchers and good matchups and all that, you still have a really talented team, and now you're getting a good price. Don't want to miss that. But I totally understand if someone's like plus money for the Diamondbacks at home, sign me up. I get that. It's just not for me today. San Fran taking on Miami. They are minus 270. I think minus 260 on most books. You have Blake Snell, who obviously coming into form now. He's been really, really good, including a little no-hitter earlier this year, by the way. Going up against Miami, who just is obviously not exactly a great team. Now, they took 2 of 4 against Colorado. Their offense looked good, but it was in Colorado. I don't expect them to come in with that same energy into San Fran. Give me the Giants, but the way that I'd maybe play this is taking a peek at the only way I should say that I could see myself playing this is San Francisco first 5 run line, which you're still paying a lot of juice for, and or team total under for the Miami Marlins, depending on what we can get it at there. I think that this is a decent spot to consider that. In terms of the full game, I don't like the idea. I think that San Fran could put up a decent amount of runs. It's not like they have a terrible offense. Now against righties they do. Lefties are a little bit better, but it's not like Adam Aller, who's on the mound today to start for Marlins, is going to shut down this team. So team total under for the Marlins seems a little bit more isolated and controlled than rolling with a full game under, but I guess that's still the direction I would lean in. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do. You know exactly what to do. Hit that damn like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.